I'm just here to tell you guys my mess of a life story. Well, I actually had no memory of life without using, because my earliest childhood memory is actually smoking pot with my mom when I was 7. And geez, I'm choked up already. Anyways, so that was what was normal to me for thank you. For my whole life. I didn't know anything other than that. And I didn't have any kids my own age that were like friends of mine. Because like everybody was like going to that kid's house, like you know what goes on over there, you know what I mean? Like, but eventually, so like one day I get I'm thinking this whole time that smoking weed is something that families do, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't talk about it when we come to school, like, you know? So, I got this little dude, he comes back to the house with me, and my mom's sitting at the table, and she's fried, like, and she sees the little guy, and she's just like, she's tripped out right away, like, I don't want nothing to do with this, throws the joint on the table, and she, you know, she wheels away. She's in a wheelchair, by the way. So, I run up, I'm like, oh, joint, you know, I'm smoking, and I go to hand it to this kid, and he's like freaked out by it, like, what are you doing, you know, like, I'm like, you don't smoke, you know, and he takes it, and he smokes, and I'm like, a couple hours goes by, and he freaks out, he's sick, he's got to go home, like, he's dying or something, and I'm like, what's wrong with this kid, like, and then he goes home, he tells his parents that, we gave him drugs. They call the state police on us, and this was my first, interaction with CPS. So CPS gets involved in my life at this time, and it was a little bit more laid back then. It's not like it is now. Like they kind of gave us a big break, you know what I mean? And we just had an open CPS case. So, time just went on, and I continued smoking weed with my mom, and like by the time she OD'd the next time, I'd already been, she'd been giving me her pills. Like by the time I was 9 years old, I'd been smoking weed and doing Darset and Somas and Vicodin, whatever. If I was like, oh, I got a headache, she's like, take one of them. So, whatever. So one day she ODs, and we still got this open CPS case on us. And I went to the gas station, and I was walking back, and I remember there being cops everywhere, and I was like, not going there. So I'm like, turn around, and then I look back, and I'm like, oh, there's ambulances there. I'm thinking like, I know she OD'd, so I'm like, I better go and check and make sure she's all right. So, and I failed to mention that when my mom started smoking weed with me, she had told me, like, I'm not going to be there later in your life, to watch you grow up. And I want you to remember me as being a fun mom. I want you to remember me as your friend. And, so that was our bonding thing. I didn't have to, I wasn't out looking for friends and wanting everybody to hang out with, because I had my mom. Like, that was my best friend. So, anyways, I get back to the house, and as I sit my drink down, I'm walking up to the front door, and I look in there, and they're cutting her shirt, and her face is just blue. And I take off running, trying to get to her, and the cops snag me up, and they take me out on the porch, and they're like talking to me, and they're like trying to keep me there, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm freaking out. I can't really remember what I was saying. But as soon as I see my mom wake up, I was like, all right, she's good. I'm waiting. So then I'm out of their sight, so they can't really find me. And then they didn't really look for me that much. They just took off, and then me and my mom's boyfriend go to the hospital to pick her up. And on the way there, he crashes our van, and it's like a handicap accessible van, you know, like it's kind of a big deal. It's expensive, so he wrecks that thing, and then he drops me off at the hospital because my mom's freaking out and he don't want to deal with it. Drops me off there, and me and my mom come back to the house. The next day, CPS comes to take me away. So I go to foster care, and now I'm there for like a summer, maybe, and I end up going to my aunt and uncle, and they're like a normal family, you know, and they're like, my mom always told me, you know, when you're going to school, just get whatever you got to get to, just make sure you pass your class into the next grade. Don't get stuck because you want to finish when everybody else does. You know what I mean? So like, if you don't feel like going, then don't go. You know, but just make sure that you pass into the next grade. So I always did exactly what you said. Just D minuses all the way until I could get to the next grade. And I usually could find like a TA, teacher's assistants, that like really took a liking to me, and I find my way to manipulate them until they do all my work, and then I get past the next grade. So, so they're making me like, they're like, you're bringing all your homework home every night, and we're gonna go over it with you. Like, what? Like, these people are crazy, you know? And like, they stayed on me though, and there was like no objecting them. And you know, they instilled some good things in me, like things that probably still stick with me today. Like my work ethic, I'm sure came from them, because I don't know where else it would have came from. Like, so after a year goes by, my mom gets her custody back, and I go back to live with her. And I remember from when I go back to live with her, I know that it's bad. Like, I hated living with my aunt and uncle this whole time. I was like, these people are just driving me nuts. But then by the time I left, I was like, this is just bad news. You know, I'm definitely going to start. I was only 12 years old when I was like, I'm going to start doing drugs again. And my future is not looking so good. Like, but I miss my mom. So I went back to live with her. And so I'm staying with her, and there was times where I had stayed up with her because she had told me that she wasn't going to be there. You know, she's telling me, like, I'm going to end my life one day, and I want you to be ready for it, you know. And I could see her trying to OD, you know, even as a young kid. And like, if I got to stay up and hang out with her, you know, and give her a reason to laugh and be happy, then I was going to do that. And I was there for her to do that. So one night, shortly after I started living with her again, she was like real distraught, you know, and she was like, she was going out for the night. She was like, I'm gonna be back, you know, and she really sat me down and told me how much she loved me and stuff, and I was like, I knew right then, I was like, she's in rough shape, she's gonna do something stupid. I'm gonna stay up and make sure I'm there for her when she gets home. So I'm trying to stay awake, and like it's just like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I'm like, I fell asleep, and then I woke up in the morning, and my Uncle Shane was sitting on the foot of my bed. He was crying, and I knew right away. I was like, so is my mom? Like, and he just couldn't talk, you know. And I'm like, is she dead? You know, like, I know she OD'd. Like, I know something happened. I'm like, tell me, is she dead, or did she make it, or she just in the hospital? You know? And he's like, he can't talk. I can't actually remember who it was, either my grandma or my grandpa. Who, by the way, my grandma, my grandpa, and my mom were the closest people to me. You know, so one of them told me that she's gone. So everybody around me was like a mess, and I just like didn't feel anything. It was like I just completely just shut down. It was like I didn't feel anything. And So I, go to the funeral. That, like, we had a short part where it was an open casket, and I was like a wreck for that. So after they closed the casket and stuff, though, I'm back to like I'm like lost. I don't even know what to do. And but then I was just like, it was more of a. It's not just an addiction that I was dealing with. I was dealing with a serious thinking problem too, because my brain, no matter what, all my life is gonna refer back to what is familiar, what I know is comfortable, and where I have control at. So my mind is automatically like, you can get high, like that's what you can do still. You know what I mean? So that's what I did, and I just started using more and more, anything I could get really, like, by the time I was 15, I had done ecstasy, I constantly smoked weed, I was selling cocaine and smoking crack by the time I was 15, and I'd done acid, mushroom, all the drugs you think of. So, but I still had a part of me that was like, it's not okay to just do that. Like, I gotta do something, like, and I don't know where that voice came from, But, so when I was 14, I had started working for my dad, and then by the time I was 15, I got a job on paper, and I was working at the branch, and I was cooking up there. So, I held that job for like throughout my whole addiction, you know what I mean? And I never had something that just took complete control of me to where I was like, where everything got pushed to the side, but if I started getting too heavy into smoking crack or doing pills or something, I'd be like, oh, I was late for work today because of that. Like, I'm chilling out on that for a while. I can make those calls, But when I was around 18, I got introduced to meth, and I started smoking meth, and then before I knew it, like, I was cooking, and it was like it just completely took control of my life, and it was like I had no. Like I had reverted completely to no thought process at all, and just everything was on impulse, like, and I'm on that hamster wheel, like there's no control in it. So and throughout this whole thing, I had got the custody of my daughter taken from me, and I hear a lot of people say that CPS is unfair and that they are, they don't give you a chance or anything. But in my experience with them, they do give you a chance. They give you probably more chances than you deserve. And they gave my mom more chances than she deserved. And the fact is, I was just unfit to be a parent at the time. So, they got custody of my daughter. And I was still, I wasn't like, I didn't sign off my rights, and my rights hadn't been terminated. But shortly after that, I get busted. And then I'm looking at all this time, and I'm in jail. And my grandma's coming up to see me, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, she's got these heart problems. And like, why is this happening right now when I'm in jail? I can't see her or anything, you know what I mean? And then she died right before I get bonded out of jail. So, and right before she died, a few days before that, she said, "Not gonna make it to see you. Like, I'm leaving you some money." And So she dies, and I get out of jail. And then I get my paperwork for my recommendation in the mail. And it's 320, and then, well, they're always, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go with the rep. So I'm like, I'm going to prison for a long time. And then there's another letter with it, I got $50,000. So I'm like, well, I'm getting high, for sure, you know. And I spent every cent of that money. And I didn't take care of any of my responsibilities with it or anything. I didn't pay the taxes or the insurance on my house or anything. I just blew it all. All I had, by the time I got to prison, all I had left to show for that money was a tattoo and a TV. That was at the foot of my bunk. And I spent probably about $35,000 of that just on drugs within, well, probably a little less than 3 months. And it is a miracle that I did not die. I can't even begin to understand how I made it through that. But I did. So, anyway. So now I'm going to prison, and when I get there, I'm completely lost because I don't know anything about prison. I'm a little white boy, I'm scared to death. You know what I mean? So then I get there, and but I wasn't I knew right away, I'm a happy buck, you know what I mean? I'm not, so I did, you know what I mean? And I got whooped a bunch of times, and I whooped some people, but, the main idea behind it though, was once they seen, the people that were around me, seen that I had heart and that, you know, that's all they care about. They don't care if you go in there and you win or lose. They don't care about none of that. As long as you go out there and you handle your business. So I did, and but before I knew it, it was like I got a lot of attention from people, and I liked it, you know, because I'm still looking for a reason to feel good about myself. Now I don't have drugs at the moment, you know what I mean? So social acceptance, that'll work. So now I'm heading for that. That's all I want is people to accept me, you know. So now before I know it, all my friends they're all gang members, and that's all I'm hanging around, you know. And I'm just doing just the craziest stuff. It's just completely out of my character. None of it makes any sense to me now looking back on it. But eventually, I ended up. I'm not trying to ramble. Sorry if I am. But eventually, I end up out of that whole mess. I end up going to the Bowen. And I go from Pugsley, which is a level 1, to Oaks level 4. And I get there, and I'm in segregation, so it's 23 and 1. I'm in a cell 23 hours a day by myself. And in the morning, they take you out on a leash, and you get to get out for an hour in a little cage. So I'm walking. First of all, they put me on a leash, and they're walking me to my cell. I'm like, this is when I'm starting to wake up. I'm like, this ain't for me. This does not fit me at all. I should not be here. So then, so they put me in there, and I'm just a wreck because I don't have my friends anymore. I don't have any drugs. I'm there alone, just me and my thoughts. And I did not like the company I was in. So, and I'm sitting there, and I'm right when I get in there, it's I'm praying out of nowhere. It's didn't go to church, you know, I wasn't a holy roller or nothing. I didn't have any faith whatsoever, you know what I mean? So, I didn't know where that came from. And I was just praying I didn't even know what I'm praying to because I don't even know if I believe in God. But I'm talking to somebody, and it's I can feel them listening. So, but I'm praying, first of all, I'm praying for strength. And now I know that, when I'm praying for strength like that, He's not just going to give me strength. He's going to give me opportunity where I have to be strong. because no one wants you to put the work in. Fake fireworks dead. So, then I just keep praying, and eventually I'm praying about my family, because I'm like they've all just dismissed me. Like, all I got left is like my grandpa, which he never did. He was always there. But I got my two uncles, and I want them back in my life so bad at this time. And I'm like, I'm just praying, like, just let something happen, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden I hear something shoot under my door. And you guys probably don't know what JPay is. JPay is like a messaging system that they use in prison as an alternative to letter writing. So your family can send you messages on like a computer screen. So I'm thinking I can get letters, but I didn't realize I could get those. So it's one of those. And I pick it up, and this is right in the middle of this prayer I'm having. And it's a JPay. And at this time, Parrish hadn't even talked to me. My uncle, he hadn't contacted me really at all. He still wasn't wanting me back in his life yet. Didn't want to accept me back into his life. So, and all it said was, I just want you to know you're always on my mind and in my heart. I love you. So, then, a couple days later, it's my birthday. And I'm in a hole. And Urs brings my grandpa up. And he's wrecked, and it tears me apart. And it's all, it's all inclusive of me waking up. And this is one of my stepping stones to it. So, we talk for a while. I go back to my cell, and I sit there I'm in the hole for like 45 days, a month and a half. So, I get out. And then, now I'm going to trial for my daughter. And I'm having people, around me. Actually, at this point, I'm going to trial, 2 different trials for 2 different children. And at this time, I'm having people that are asking me if I'll sign my rights off, and I understand where they're coming from completely. And I understand CPS's reasoning for not wanting to shuffle the kids back and forth. I understand it because I did it when I was a kid, and it is confusing and it is disruptive. But the fact of the matter is that there's no way to avoid confusion and disruption in their life at this point, no matter what, because they're going to have a lost sense of identity because they don't know who their real parents are. And it's just the truth. And it's sad. And it is a result of my bad choices. And I understand that. So, and like I said, at that time I was unfit to be a father. And they took him. But once I realized that I'm fit to be a parent, you know what I mean? I'm not just going to give my rights up. If they're going to take them, they're going to take them. I'm not going to give them to them, So that's what I made them do. And I knew going in, I knew I'm going to lose my rights, but and they're trying to explain, you're going to have all kinds of fines. You can just avoid all this. Rack them up. I'm not signing them off, man. So I go to trial both times, and I lose. And they terminate my rights. So now, at this point, all I can focus on for them, as far as they are concerned, is me becoming the best person I can be. Because when they do get to meet me, or later in their life, when they come to find me, who do I want them to find? Got something in my eye.
We all do.
So, Gee. So, anyway, at this time though, I'm still a bit of a loose canvas, because prison, it really did something to me that, I had no impulse control whatsoever, and eventually I got this bunk, and his name was White, and he really stayed on me, making me think about what I was doing. And now let me back up a second. I went and seen the parole board. So then when I go see the board, this is my representative, and I go in there, and the dude's just he's like, yeah, right, I am not letting you out, you know what I mean? He's like, maybe you'll be ready in 20 years. You're not ready today. He's like, he's just he's talking crazy to me, You know, when I left out of there, oh my God, I'm gonna end up doing this the rest of my life. What am I can't just do this. And then I call my grandpa. This is the really hard part. I gotta call him and tell him, I'm not gonna be home when I'm expecting. I gotta stay another year. Why? What's going on? And I was like, well, I got in some trouble since I've been here. He's like, just stop right now. Well, I don't have time for this. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm just surviving so I can see you get out. I'm not gonna make it much longer. You gotta get out when you say you're gonna get out this time. And it just crippled me. You know what I mean? And at that point, I decided maybe I should be receptive to some reasoning when somebody wants to offer it to me. So my bunkie at the time, I tell him about this, and he's been through these same things. All of these same things like I'm going through, he's done almost his whole life locked up. And now I'm still doing stuff like somebody owes me a ramen noodle, one noodle. And I'm like, if he does not have my noodle by 5 o'clock tonight, I'm going down there and I'm beating his brains in with my mouth. He'd be like, what are you talking about? What about Grandpa? Weren't you just telling me you love Grandpa? I thought you wanted to go home and see him. And it was like, it would bring me right back. And it was just through constant repetition of that it became the way I thought. And it was like, you guys can have this stuff, I'm just visiting. So, he did a lot of good for me. And then after that, I was he was constantly preaching to me about my bad decisions. I was I started looking at the people I was hanging around with. And I was like, I don't need any of these guys. I'm like, I can do this myself. I was like, I don't need nobody to protect me. I don't need a bunch of friends. These guys ain't even my friends anyways. I'm gonna hear from 99 out of 100 of them ever again in my life. You know what I mean? So I'm like, whatever. I'm done with everybody. So then for a solid year, I was like, I ain't talking to nobody. Everybody come up and shake my hand. Keep it moving. So I'm isolated 100%. I don't want nothing to do with nobody. And I had 2 or 3 friends that I kicked it with every day, as opposed to before where it's 200. So now I'm going to see the board this next time, and I'm still going over things for what I'm doing wrong, in my life period. And definitely needed to work on my compulsive thinking and stuff, and just have a thought process instead of just reacting to whatever situation, you know what I mean? I always wanted to focus on, I always heard in NA, you gotta stay away from people, places, and things. And it was my biggest focus. I can just stay away from them, then I'll be fine. And like, I just completely ignored the fact that I am the problem, you know, like, and I think that that should be the first thing that you worry about is yourself, and then those other things are going to all fall into place if you're conscious of what you're doing all the time. This disease is insanity. Nobody's consciously insane. You know what I mean? So, for me, it falls into place like that. So I don't have any more problems in my life today. Like, I just got situations, and I can either deal with them or I can accept them as part of my life. And if I can't distinguish the difference, then I call somebody that does. 9 times out of 10, it's Urs. And sometimes I'll call her and I just scream at her for like 10 minutes, and she probably gets sick of it, but she answers the phone every time. So I'm gonna continue to do that. And thanks for being there. So, anyways, I get my next interview, and it goes good. This guy is like, he's just blown away by the changes I made, and he just can't wait to let me out. So he signs my papers, and I go through a long process of getting out, where I got to do all this other programming. I get out though. So now I'm out, and just stuff just keeps going wrong for me though. Every time I turn around, it's like there's something else that's screwing up, like that's keeping me from doing something. I'm like, why is this happening right now when I'm finally doing good? But it goes back to what I said earlier about God giving me opportunities where I need to be strong. So I got lots of tests, and I've been doing pretty good so far. Now I had to see this guy at Catholic Human Services, and he told me, you know, asked me about my mom and stuff. And when that whole thing had happened, I blamed myself for that for a long time because I fell asleep. I fell asleep. I let it die. You know what I mean? And I thought I had forgiven myself for that. I'm over it. You know, like I miss her and I love her, but I'm not living in that. It's gonna happen again because your grandpa's about to die soon, and he's like that. So just be ready for it. You know, when it happens, don't let it. You know, don't walk the rock. I'm not worried about that. I got it. You know. So I'm taking care of my grandpa. He's living at the Fairview, what is it? Assisted living, something like that, apartment. And he's calling me at like 2 or 3 in the morning, like every 2 or 3 nights, and I'm rushing over there to help him with whatever. And then one day I go over there to check on him in the morning. I walk in there, and he's dead. And I was like, and he's got his phone in his hand, and his phone flipped up. And immediately I'm like, he doesn't call anybody but me. You know what I mean? I was like, and I knew the night, I stopped there the night before. I was like, I was worked there tonight, I should stay here. And I was like, I'm going to be here first thing in the morning. And I went right to it. As soon as I seen it, I was, let him die. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I just, like, it was like I broke down for a second. I couldn't even comprehend what was going on. But I caught myself. And that guy's words, like, echoed in my mind. And I was like, first thing, like, I'm not thinking rationally. I got to call somebody that is. And I called my Uncle Parrish this time. And then I called her. And, like, you know, they came out. And it was really hard. But I got through it. So, now, I'd like to share some of the good things that have happened. There's so much nonsense. Now that I am clean, you know, I have been for this amount of time, I'm conscious of my thoughts. I have a healthy thought process. My core values are in line. I know what they are. You know, I have goals that I'm constantly working towards. I can do something like have a conversation with someone and actually listen to what they're saying instead of waiting for my turn to talk. I can I'm rebuilding old family relationships. Like, I knew getting out that they weren't like, I wasn't just like, no, you're gonna love me, you know, like I'm gonna have to give them however much time they need to welcome me back into their life. And if I come there and they say no, I don't want to, I hate you, I'm gonna let them hate you, and I'm gonna let them do that as long as they have to, until they come around and they love me. And the day will come, and it has, and we have healthy, functioning relationships now. Friends, I don't have many, but the ones that I got are real friends. You know what I mean? And, you know, I care about myself now. I care about what I look like. I care about my hygiene. Like, I'm in clean clothes every day. I brush my teeth. I take showers. I care about my health. I go to the gym almost every day. And if the gym is closed, like it's going to be tomorrow, then I'll have a little bit of a bad day. But if I need to, I'll call work. And I've been working, you know, I worked like crazy. I did have 2 jobs all summer. Now I only got 1, which I'm enjoying the downtime a little bit. I would like having a break from working 70 hours a week, but I'm sure the time is coming very soon where I'll be doing that again. So, and I'm in a relationship with a girl right now. For the first time in my life, I have a shot at a relationship actually working, because our relationship is not based on getting high. You know, our love for each other exceeds our need for each other. You know, we don't depend on each other to be happy. We're up, each one of us is comfortable in our own skin before we even met each other, and we bring joy to one another. So I see, you know, a chance for us to work, and I'm pretty happy about that. And we're about to buy a house. We should be moving in there by next week. And you know, so they're all good things in my life, and I'm starting to get respect from people. Like, it's nice, you know, I can do it without it. I don't need the respect, but it does feel good when I get it. Like just the other day, I was walking in the gas station, and a police officer, stopped me, and he said, "You know, I'm really proud of you. I just want to let you know that." And I was like, and it's just like, that's a good one. You know, so that's my story, and I'm just here to let anybody know, if you got a family member that's suffering from addiction, or if you're an addict yourself, that if I can do it, then you can probably do it. Like, it's you know, it's hard, but it is possible, and there's hope for it. And you know, the only thing else I got to say is I want to thank you for being that 4 years.
I wish I was sitting way back here.
Yeah.